There has been a growing discontent in Nepal against Chinese interference in Nepal's internal matters and its encroachment over its land. Today we have with us former Nepali ambassador to Denmark, Vijay Kant Karna, to throw some light on China and Nepal ties. Welcome to our show, Mr. Karna. Let's dive right into it. This is a two-part question. So what is the reaction of Nepalese towards the Chinese stopping flow of goods from the two road inlets from China to Nepal?
There are two points where the Nepalese, the land route, they're importing the goods from China. So one route has been stopped since 7 years. It's from 2015. Due to earthquake, they stopped it. But now they have completed all the infrastructure, but they are not allowed to importing goods. And that's the Chinese says it's a reason for a strategic reason because of the Tibetan or something like that. But they didn't say anything, but they stopped. The second route is the Raswagadi, which is the main route at the moment. This has been stopped during COVID in the very beginning, and now they have allowed only. Earlier, there are 3 to 5 trucks were allowed. Now they have, after 1 week visit, they have allowed 14. Earlier, before this COVID started, it was about 80 to 100 trucks were always moving. So this has created a lot of problems of goods and basic essentials in the Nepal, which we have been importing from China, from Tibet. But this is Nepalese trade minister, Nepalese foreign minister, Nepalese prime minister. Everybody requested at the highest level. Even this recently Wangi visit, China's foreign minister to Nepal, this issue has been raised. But the Chinese are not ready to open this, and this is creating trouble for the people at large. So that has created a little bit inflation.
The citizens are going through this.
Yeah, citizens are, because the goods are. So this is not the only case. When this was stopped, almost around 1,000 trucks were on the queue. So what happened at the time, they didn't allow for 3 to 4 months. So the prices of the transportation has increased, and then Nepalese traders lost millions of rupees, millions of dollars, not rupees actually, because of that. And then they have some of the goods which is perishable, they lost it. But other goods, they have rerouting from Kolkata to Kathmandu. So that is another big problem. It's something like a blockade. I can say it is it's not 100%, but it's a soft blockade, I can say. Because of, and we are a small countries, neighboring countries. We have a very good relation with the China, but in this case, what I have seen that the Chinese are not supporting Nepalese and Nepali people.
Moving on to the next part of the question. When goods from India were held up for a few months, the Nepalese called it a blockade, which led to anti-India sentiments. Why aren't there any anti-China sentiments when China has blocked roads for trade for 2 years now?
Actually, the things are that there are 2 points here. One is completely it is blocked, but dependency on China is not much than, like India. We are importing almost more than 64% our international trade with India. So the one thing is that, another thing is that the proximity with India is huge. Is huge, and Indian goods are much more important than the Chinese. Second thing is the Chinese, even there is a narrative in Nepal that China is a good friend, China never do wrong. But now it's not that way. Nepalese are opposing it. Nepalese government is talking to the Chinese. Nepalese media is writing now. So it is the narrative are being changed. But it's something not like that, what happened in 2016 with India and China. Because of the volume of the trade is a huge with India and essential goods. although at the time there was such a blockade, because of the only one point was actually stopped in Birganj Raksol. Other all points were, but some of the things that some of the parties, some of the political leaders who are oriented and being socialized in anti-Indian sentiment or anti-Indian things, some of the leftist political parties. So that is how it happened. But now it's because of the Chinese not responding Nepal's request. Since a long time, not 2 years, I'm telling 7 years. One of the major point is Tatopani, which road was built for the trade. This Rasuagadi is a very small stretch actually. So it's a one-way road. It's not even double. So it's a very big trouble to bring the goods, although we are doing it. So in such a condition, China as a member of international community and we are a landlocked, we have every right to bring our goods, even third country goods from China. As a member of international community, we are trying China to convince on it. Let us see. But the Chinese are not ready to open Tatopani. Rasuagadi, it is a very limited access. So what I think that the Chinese are actually playing geopolitical things in Nepal due to the competition with America and global competition with India. So we as a country, a small country, cannot bear all this global, international, geopolitical competition.
Okay, moving on to our second question. China had promised a lot in terms of Nepal's 2017 Belt and Road Initiative projects. But during the recent visit of Chinese Foreign Minister to Nepal, no BRI projects were signed. What do you have to say on this?
Actually, there are the problem with our side and the Chinese side. Chinese wanted BRI project to be funded under loan. And it is all in the commercial loan. Nepal does not have any history to take commercial loan from any country. We have only one time in 1989, I think so. We have taken one commercial loan at the 3% of interest from ADB. So our whole interest rate is about 2.5, the highest rate. The Chinese at the moment on the issue of this BRI, they proposed more than 5% of the interest, which Nepal cannot. Because we are getting India's loan is 0.01. The Japanese is 0.1. World Bank 0.67. ADB 2%. So other Saudi fund and others say around 2.5% and all. So our interest rate is that much. There is one important problem with this one. The Chinese, the proposed framework is a very costly, number one. Second thing, Chinese wanted to do all the project themselves. Our proposal is to joint mechanism to implement the project. So which the Chinese, whatever they did in Sri Lanka or other countries, we are not ready to go through that. Our funding process is little bit different. So there are some projects Chinese doing in the same way, like they did in Sri Lanka. But we propose them to go joint mechanism of implementation, because the Chinese under BRI, wherever the Africa or other Asian countries, they bring money, they bring their own people, they do themselves, they spend the money. So, and the countries, those who are implemented, they are not aware of whatever the money is spent. So, our model of financing is little bit different of the Chinese model. So, it is basically, we defer the BRI framework of implementation of the project and loan framework. So, that's why we cannot, I don't think it is in very soon. Because this time when the Chinese Foreign Minister and State Councillor Mr. Wang Yi visit to Nepal, we clearly told them that we are go for the grants or the very soft loan. And then and Chinese very clearly told us also that it is not a grant, it's a loan. So we differ basic things. So that's why in recent time, I don't think that we are going for BRI in soon. Because of the model is different of the Chinese and ours is different. So the meeting point is a little bit difficult. So that is why the BRI project is yet not, although we have forwarded them 9 projects, some of the roads, some of the hydroelectricity, and one technical university project is there. And that's why I think that it's a very difficult. Although we have signed more than 5 years already, the BRI framework we have signed. Our president visited and President Xi visited to Nepal. They talked much, but worked very less. Yeah. So it is difficult at the moment, the BRI.
Okay, there has been some encroachment by Chinese inside the Nepal, some of the areas. What are your views on that?
Actually, in some of the areas like in the China border, like Dolkha, there is a place, Dolkha district, which is very close to the China. And then we have a Humla. Humla, where the people go to Mansarovar, that way. It's very near from that place. So even people from India used to go that way, but now it is just stopped. So that place the Chinese started building huge infrastructure. And then the local Nepalese people said that it is ours. But Chinese always claim that. But recently in 2021 September, Nepal government constituted a commission. We also done some research on it, and we find that the Chinese encroached some of the areas. And then Nepal government constituted a commission. The commission report was disclosed by the BBC and other. Right. And then even in Nepalese media it came out that the China has encroached some of the areas. And then there is one place, how it started. Actually a pillar was missing. And the next day the pillar was there. So the pillar is newly built. There is a protocol between Nepal and China that the border regulation, if there is any problem, there is a joint mechanism to replace the pillar. So the pillars were built in 60s, but Chinese said this is the same pillar. But when we see that picture, I can send you, I have all the materials. So in that picture, it is very clear said it is newly built. So that area, the chief minister of the Karnali province, who was at the time was a opposition leader, he raised the issues, and then it has been come to the media and other. And the Chinese embassy very undiplomatically wrote a letter to Nepali Congress, then Prime Minister. Then he was
so basically China is saying this is a new pillar.
No, we said it is a new pillar, but Chinese, this one is the old one. Right. But it is, picture itself shows that it is a newly built. I mean that when you built in 60s and 2020, it's something different. So it can show that how old and new things that. So it's because of the 60-year-old, 50-year-old pillar and recently built something different. So that is how it will look like. So he raised the issues. And then it's come to the end in retaliation to that issues, Chinese ambassador wrote a letter to the present Prime Minister, Nepali Congress Party. It is very undiplomatic, and he accused Mr. Shahi that he has been working against Nepal-China relations, behest of other countries and something like that. It's a very, very bad letter diplomatically it is written. So then after all these issues, Nepali Congress Party raised the issues, and then they decided to form a commission, government, and commission clearly said that the pillar is a new, without the consent of Nepal, and then there are missing things, and the Chinese, it looked like that the China encroached in our land. In that case, Nepal government has requested China to let's discuss on it. But Chinese refused again. They said there is no encroachment. What happened earlier when this issue came out? There was the government of KP Oli, Khadg Prasad Oli government, and without getting the report of the district magistrate, actually government asked the district magistrate to see what happened actually and give the report. So district magistrate went to the area, but before the report came out, our foreign ministry said there is no encroachment. So that is what the Chinese used at the moment also. But now the government has constituted a commission. Commission gave the report and report said that it is encroached. So they found out, and now the Home Ministry report sent to the Foreign Ministry, and Foreign Ministry asked to discuss about this. We have a regular mechanism with the China in the border management, border regulation, but since 10 years there is no meeting of such a mechanism. And China is not ready for it, for this issue. So that's why it is actually, actually a might thinks that you are powerful and you can do whatever you like to area smaller countries. So it's a big challenge for Nepal-China relation.
In view of the fact that Nepal has now signed the MCC, do you think that the Chinese will get more aggressive in Nepal? And if so, in what manner?
They are already aggressive. It's not in the future. The recent visit of the State Councillor and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Wang Yi, his statement and whatever he discussed to come out in the Chinese media, it is clearly violation of international norms. What he said that China cannot accept any encroachment or any influence by foreign countries in Nepal. And China is ready to help Nepal safeguarding its sovereignty. There is no such agreement between China and Nepal that we asked China to safeguard our sovereignty. And it's very clearly the statement is a violation of international norms and bilateral treaties, as well as that the way Chinese reaction on the MCC. No country till now interfere in our bilateral relations. Even India never speak against whatever the US-Nepal relation or whatever the China and Nepal relation, or UK. And we have a lot of countries, we have a bilateral treaty, we have a development plan, many projects are signed, but no country react like this way. But Chinese reaction on MCC is very difficult for Nepal, and Nepalese are in a very difficult situation at the moment because of the Chinese reaction, and China take it MCC against their interest. And what we said very clearly that MCC is a development project and it's for our country's interest. So that is why we signed and we are going to ratify it. There is no question the other countries to ask that why you signed with the treaty. USA never asked us why you are signing BRI with China. India never asked us that why you are signing BRI with China. But now the Chinese thought that the Nepal is their area of influence. That's why they try to dictate us in foreign policy, which Nepal refused actually. And this is a very good lesson for Chinese also. Although they have used their political, that the influence in Nepal through the communist parties. But at the end, the parliament, with the 3/4 majority almost, they endorsed the MCC. It's very good in interest of Nepal and good lesson for China also, because we are not ready to accept any interference in our bilateral matter. In the same time, we assured our neighbors that we will not harm your interest to your security, your anything. Because the way it was created in Nepal, Nepali media or social platform by the Chinese government, there is news about that the Chinese intelligence agency worked against America in Nepal, which is not good. Our own intelligence agencies has a report that the Chinese intelligence worked against the MCC. They funded it in the social media, YouTube, many platforms they have created against the USA. And they said due to this MCC project, American army will come, American army will station in Nepal in various places. It is all bullshit. And no American army, and we said very clearly that Nepal has never been used by USA, even for refueling of the US fighter jet. Although India has been used, because in Iran war, Iraq war, India provided the refueling facility to the Americans. But they never asked us. The only army came to, US army always, they come to with the Nepalese army when there is a training or disaster or there joint exercise, then only they came. So there is no army, military presence in Nepal of any countries. Yeah. So that's why the way it is created, it is not good, and we are facing heat of the geopolitical competition between America, USA and China. And we clearly said, Americans and Chinese, that this is not the place you to compete here. You have a lot of place in the global area where you can compete, fight and all. But Nepal is a small country and Nepal cannot bear this heat. So the Chinese must, I think, they must realize on this, that Nepali has decided their own sovereign rights, Nepalese parliaments. So I think in long term Chinese will understand, and that is why there is two purposes of the visit of the Wang Yi. One was that they wanted to speak one-to-one about this. But the way they created a space for anti-Americans in Nepal was not good.
Okay, let's now talk about Nepal and India's centuries-old civilizational ties. How is China trying to queer the pitch?
Look, we have a civilizational people-to-people relations, and such a close relation you don't find it to any country in the world. Such a relation, when we came to Delhi or any part of India, sometimes we forget we are in another country. Same to the Indians when they come to Kathmandu or any parts of Nepal, they feel such a very close relations and special relations not exist in any part of the world. Although China, India and Pakistan was one time a part, Bangladesh was a part, but it's not such a close because of this 70-75 years of animosity that does not exist more. Although religion, culture, everything very close. But the Nepal, the religious, social, cultural, Buddhism, Hinduism, it's such a way that, and people to people, millions of people are relatives in India and then vice versa to Nepal. Chinese are trying. Since, I can say they have been trying since a long time. But recently, from 2006, 5-6, they are trying to build their own space. So building on a space is not a bad thing in a diplomacy, I can say, but creating another space a problem or creating some anti-India activities through the Communist Party of Nepal is a very difficult thing. But one very clear thing is that whatever we have a relation with the China, we have a good relation, but there is no comparison with the relation with China and relation with India. It is a completely different one. So it's a big barrier, Himalayas, and then there, and actually the Chinese itself has created a barrier. We have a same relation with the Tibet earlier, but they closed it. So that's why they cannot, because of the people living in India-Nepal border are the same. Same thing with our northern area. The people living in Lhasa and people living in our mountain areas are the same people. Same race, they are relatives. The families, two families are divided in that. There are people in the Sherpas in Nepal are the same people, same race, same families are in other side. But the Chinese, after 1959, when they took over Tibet, and they stopped. And now they are not allowed any Tibetans or Sherpas to visit any religious monastery to that part, and the same here in Nepal. So no Tibetans are allowed to come to Nepal, and no Nepalese are allowed to go to. Although we have an agreement, 30 kilometers, the Nepalese can go to that part and Tibetan can. But there is no movement. There are very few people when they go with the IT card. Now it's after Corona, COVID, it's almost stopped. So they are not allowing it. And that's why what I found that the Chinese are creating such a barrier for their own interest of the Tibet thing. So this is not possible China to create same situation for themselves like India. Because it is a little bit difficult one. People, because of the Hindu and Buddhist, without going to Gaya, without going to Lumbini, without going to Banaras, without going to other religious places of Nepal, Char Dham and all the India. So the people, such a close relation of religion and culture is different for other countries to replace it.
Well, this brings us to the end of our interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Karna,
Thank you very
for
much.
speaking to us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for watching India Narrative.